start Winedown Wednesday with your hosts, Missy, Dawn, Angie, TJ, Nikki, and Lindsay. So grab your glass or your cup and join us for great conversations about, well, who knows? Let's just enjoy the evening. Here we go.
Hey, family, and welcome back to Winedown Wednesday. It is going to be a very interesting show tonight, I must say, at the very least. You have your normal host, myself. Again, my name is Melissa Davis. I am owner and operator of Hands Melody Doula Services. I have joining me, as always, another doula sister of mine, Dawn. I have a few of my mommies in the room that also service our village. We have Angie, our Facebook guru. We have Nick, our millennial mom. We have Lindsay that talks about our mental health and loving yourself with Lindsay. We also have Miss Rachel in the room. We also have several of our dads and male doulas in the room. So we'll get started with them. We have Daniel, who has been with Hands of Melody for about 2 years now. He's one of our doula dads. He is a trained doula, which we're going to talk about that tonight. We have Jason, who is also a trained doula. We have Wallace, we have Drew, we have Osado, we have, most importantly, my husband. We have the Mr. himself, Andre, is in the room, and we have a couple of others joining us, but we're going to get right into the conversation. So we hope that you enjoy. As always, please comment as you go along if you have questions. I do say there is a 20-second delay as we get started. So if you put a comment in and we don't respond right away, it's because there's a little bit of a lag time. If you find something that we're talking about very interesting and you want to actually come in the room, you have to be sent the link. Last week, several people were trying to join us and they could not because they were trying to just click the live. You have to actually be invited in the room. So if you comment that you want to come in and be a part of the conversation is being monitored so we can let you in. As always, there is no hate speech. Everybody is welcome to their own opinion, no matter how different it is. As long as you say it respectfully, we respect what happens in your house. We may just see it a little bit differently. We ask that you don't, as my brothers say, yuck somebody else's yum. So what works in their house, if it doesn't work in yours, just take it and let it go. But we're going to jump right into the conversation, and we're going to start with our male doulas. So, question on the floor for anybody, and especially directed to our male doulas, why is there such a big pushback for male doulas? You can have male OBGYNs, you can have male nurses that are actually checking and doing and touching and all of this stuff. But when it comes to male doulas, we're getting a lot of pushback from the men like, no, we can't have a male doula. And I'm trying to figure out why that is. So before we ask the male doulas why they went into this profession that is quote unquote a woman's profession, as being an OBGYN used to be, we want to ask some of our dads in this group how they would feel about a male doula if they're, the ladies on here have all delivered and they have female doulas, but if your wife came home, girlfriend, baby mama, whoever, whatever title y'all have this week says, I think I want to have a male doula, what would your response be? I'm listening. Somebody say something.
All right, well, I'll jump in there. I just feel like, you mentioned OBGYN, right now, I've grown, male doulas have grown on me because I've been working with you so long in the profession, but it's not recognized as a profession. And when you talk about the male species, if you ask me, you're dealing with jealousy, insecurity that some men have. I wasn't oblivious to that. I mean, I don't know that for any of my kids, I would have had a male doula or accepted it. And also, the psychological part, I think, is the men. We believe we are we are the savior for our women, right? And you have this male doula there at a woman's most vulnerable state, and is helping her through this pain when you have the man standing by not really able to do anything and not really understanding what to do.
So go ahead, go Sato.
I mean, that was like, first thing would be, we have to go to Maury because it's either dad. So why does he have to?
Really? Really?
Because I mean, I feel like that's, after going through it 3 times, you know, I feel like I don't want anyone else there but me. I thank God that I had you there, but it would be, like Andre said, it would be a territorial type thing where, I mean, because I know what you had to do, rubbing her back and doing all that. I would want to do that instead of, you know, a guy doing that.
So then my question to that is, and I get that. So for your involved dad, you feel like the role of another man being in the room is unnecessary. But what about the males that want to come in and be territorial, but they're not doing what they should be doing? So when she needs to be held up, and God knows when a contraction hit, they need to be held up. And he's sitting over here playing video games, or he's in and out, or he's on his phone, or he's doing whatever, and not tagged into what's happening with the woman's body. And men know that about themselves. You already know who you are. You know, if you're I'm in tune with my wife, my whatever. Again, I'm always going to say whatever title y'all have this week, I'm in tune with her. But you also know if you're not connected. So why be territorial if you don't want to do what you're supposed to do in the birth space?
Well, I mean, I feel like giving birth, to me, it's more about, you know, the child coming out safely and the woman coming through it safely. So I don't know, like when I went through it, it wasn't like my prayer was like, God, please, I don't want one without the other. So it was more about, and you were there, so it was more about, you know, what do I have to do to have my girl come out okay? So I don't think, and then if I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, you would have told me, you know? So I'm not saying being a male doulas are bad. I'm just saying, for me, it would be a problem. I'm not saying there's some men who, you know, who would want that and who would appreciate that, maybe because they can't handle it. I mean, before I had kids, it was, oh, I don't want to be in the room. But as soon as I was having my first, I wanted to be in the room. So I'm not saying male doulas are bad. There's some situations, just in mine, I don't think I would go for it.
I think that's the
So
political
do you think
correct.
people confuse a doula and a midwife? So if they now, if they consider a male doula, would they think that's a male midwife? And it's like, oh no, there's no way you're coming. Because a midwife is very, very different. Like, you know, they're in that space in between the women, whatever. So it's like, do you think from the guy's perspective, like, do you think they confuse the two? And
I think
that could
everybody
be
does.
impacting.
Everybody does.
I think everybody does. If you don't know, because that's the first question we get when we're hired is, okay, so are you going to be checking her cervix? Are you going to be doing? And so we have to really clearly define what doulas do. And we are there for physical and emotional support and comfort, and everything that we do is external. We do everything that we can. We don't check cervixes. We don't do anything medical, take blood pressures. We don't do any of that. We stay within our doula scope of practice, which means we get mom to a place where the oxytocin is flowing. And if baby seems like baby's in a weird position, we move mom to move baby. So I think everybody that comes in, if you don't have a clear role, I think that could be part of the problem. But wouldn't it then be in the man's best interest to say, okay, so what is this? What is it? What are you doing exactly? Like, I understand that she wants you in this room, but what are you in the room for? Because I mean, she got me, and I'm so tired of hearing that. She got me, but what are you doing? What do you know about birth? How many births have you been through that you get to make the decision who she feels comfortable with having in the room? And that's Osato's opinion. What about any of the other guys that are not doulas? How do you feel, or how do you view the male doula role, or would you be accepting of the male doula role?
Can I say something? I think it's basically the culture, that most culture believe that, like, for instance, nurses, back in the day, nurses are all women. Now we have male nurses. So it took a while for people to see males as nurses. Now you have doulas. They basically were women doulas. Now males are starting to become doulas. So it's gonna be a while. It will be a while for society to see more male doulas. So it's a culture thing that we're going to adapt. Now you're asking a question about the mother is giving birth. Before we come to that point, a conversation or interview will be had prior to that point. So that partner, the husband, the partner, the male, the boyfriend, would have had that conversation with that doula prior to that moment. So when mom is giving birth, the comfort level will have been there. If it wasn't, that male doula would not be in that room.
But I don't think we're getting to that point. I think that when somebody says they want a doula, first of all, that's not even understood, male or female. But then when you start talking about the role of a doula, if for some families, and I'm not going to even put a percentage on that, some families, if the woman comes home and say, hey, honey, I want to interview these 3 people. It's going to be Missy, Jack, and Todd. He's going to be like, hold up. Who is Jack and Todd? And when did they become male? What is this? Like, you got me. All right, Missy, we can interview. But these other 2, I want us to get past. And that's what I'm trying to find out from the guys. And I really want to understand. We all want to understand, what is it that makes a man uncomfortable? And I hear what Osato said, but Osato, again, was very involved with the whole, other than the time I said, you need to go take a nap. Other than that, he was very hands-on. So for the other men in the room, I'm trying to figure out from you, if your, whatever she was that week, came home and said, I want to interview these men doulas, what would be your pushback and why?
Can I just say pride and ego? He gave you the politically correct answer.
Pride and ego.
I thought I also said jealousy and insecurity, because that's listen, I'm gonna be honest.
There.
The bottom line is, most guys, right, are not built for another guy. Unless you're a doctor, right? That somehow that becomes the exception. Seeing your wife's erogenous areas, or body parts. I don't want nobody holding my wife's leg up in the air, or helping my wife, the baby lats for the first time, or any of that. And it's, what can I say? Listen, I try hard to evolve, and most of us try to evolve. And I guess that's what it's going to take, because again, the whole profession is growing, but we're not there yet.
Well, hold on, Andre, hear this real quick. We accept a male doctor, we accept a male nurse, we accept a male masseuse, we accept a male physical therapist. We will soon accept a male doula. It's a cultural thing that we have to accept. And it's a culture that we have to break the barriers. And that's the problem. And like Lindsay said, it's an ego thing. Sooner or later, once more male doulas are coming, can't say coming up, but more male doulas are in training and start being exposed, it'll be a cultural differences, and it will be more accepted.
But that's your point, because you're a male doula. But go ahead, Wild.
Yeah, I'll just say, as a non-doula, I'll just say, because y'all speak about language now, talking about pride, ego, insecurity, all them good churchy terms. But no, it really is one of those things. Like, for instance, when it comes to massages, right? And Daniel brought that up. When the masseur is like, why, did I have a problem with my wife going to get a massage from a dude, when it's like, well, I definitely don't want a massage from a dude, So, and the reality is that we have kind of psychologically created a double standard when it comes to care across the board. Like, whatever it is, like, it's okay for you to have this, but nah, I ain't really feeling that when it comes to you. And so it's one of those things that to be honest, I had to grow into, right? Being comfortable with that. Whereas, now at this point, yeah, I could care less, really. It's really, particularly when it comes to birthing a child, right? At the end of the day, I'm going with whoever my wife is comfortable with, because I've just got to learn to be comfortable with it, because if she's comfortable with this person, that's the best person for her to get through this experience. Because, you know, there's a whole lot of emotions going on, and I'm not trying to be at the wrong end of any of it. And so I'm literally going with whatever she says, because I trust her judgment. And I mean, at the end of the day, the reality is we both in the room. And if something goes down that ain't right, guess what?
He going down.
I got 2 hands. So, you know, so it's one of those things that I just say, you know, to any father, if they were to ask me, and if they were to have some problems or whatever, I would literally say, just build a bridge and get over it, because it's about her and that child more than anything else. As long as they're comfortable, I'm good.
I do feel like I kind of understand Osada's point, because I guess it could be, it's an intimate experience and you feel like you don't want another man to share that experience with you and your partner having the baby. But then I also feel like the other part of it is, because we kind of talked about this before, that if there is a way for the father of the child or whoever the male support system is there to help, is that male doula gonna tell the partner first, hey, come over here and let me show you how to support her back? Or is the male doula just going to jump up and support her back? And so I guess it's kind of like they want that opportunity to still play a part in the whole thing. And maybe if it's a male doula, they're just going to go ahead and do it without telling the partner how to help and kind of rob them of that experience. But I mean, aside from the double standard, I feel like that could be the other problem.
Well, so see, the male doulas go through the same training as the female doulas. We also, all the doulas that are on here tonight, Jason, myself, Daniel, and Dawn, all of us went through the most amazing doula trainer ever, Nick. And she says, it's not your body, it's not your birth. And what you have to do is you have to make the birth inclusive for those that birthing person has in the room supporting them. And then if they're not supportive, then you jump in and you take the full responsibility. So Jason, my question is to you. First, did you know that it was going to be so hard as a male doula before you took this on? And if so, why did you still decide to become a male doula?
Yes, I knew it was going to be hard. The first person I mentioned it to, I came up against it. So I love women and I love kids and I love helping people out. So I'm a death doula too, and that's how I came to this. And for me, I've come from a wild childhood. I love the therapist talk over there. I could do that all day. That's another conversation. But for me, it was the realization that I could be in a position to prevent trauma. I've been healing it, and all kinds of people I've been supporting, well, myself starting, but I've been supporting survivors, supporting addicts for a long time, but it never occurred to me that I could be in a place to prevent trauma. And as soon as I realized that, I was like, holy shit, I got to do this. And I'm crazy about it now. My first client gave birth yesterday. Yeah, I wasn't able to be there because the partner blocked me. With COVID restrictions, you can only have 2 people there, and he didn't want me there. And what do you know? He wasn't there. He's with his wife and 3 kids in Texas. And,
well, bless the Lord. That's a whole nother situation.
Oh yeah.
My
goodness. So there's this inherent belief between, and it's not, we're talking a lot about men tonight, but it's women too, I'm getting it from, that if a man is around a woman's body, then it must be an inherently sexual experience. Like there's some sort of something birth is so many things. Not that I've been there yet. I wish I could have been there yesterday, but it is so many beautiful things. It's not sexy. So
sexy it is not.
Yeah, to the first gentleman's point about you just want your child and your lady to come through it. Well, if giving them the best chance means hiring me, I hope you think about it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, see, now I'm the bad guy. See that?
No,
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 no.
All right.
For your
First off,
honest comments, I really appreciate
Miss
it.
Lindsay said we shouldn't be politically correct. So I don't know about this virgin person. I had a wife, so if we're gonna go there,
That's my
Go
training.
there. That's your truth.
if
That's your
women
truth.
give birth, I don't know. I'm not an alien. She's not an alien. She's not a birthing person. The woman. First thing. Now, second, Jason, fantastic. You know, but look how emotionally attached you are to this situation. I'm not talking sex. I'm talking is this emotional attachment, and I would rather it be me than you. Look how, you know, I mean, I wouldn't say you're upset, but you're really like torn up about not being there. I want to be the one. So if I had a choice between you and, yeah, I don't understand the situation. He was intact. This was like his side piece or something?
Side piece.
Oh, well, even with my side piece to be a doctor, not to.
Good support.
I don't want my side piece being with another man giving birth. Why not a woman? If she brought two men and a woman, it's like, what can he do? Because Missy, I was there. You play music, you play the fragrance, you have the balls, you rub her back. A woman can do that.
But Osato, but did you hear what he said? He said he pushed him out, but he didn't even show up.
So,
and that's what I mean. No, but that's what I mean.
Wow.
It's his
if
woman.
you're gonna be there to support that
his
role,
woman?
You hear that territorial shit? You hear that territorial shit?
if you're gonna be there,
Tell him.
Hey, I don't understand
That
this.
is pride.
If you're gonna be there,
territorial.
if you're gonna be there, that's one thing. But don't not show up and tell me.
Exactly, and it's not so. Like you give a whole human.
No, but he is representing a large community.
Act like it's
He is
your
representing,
body,
so I
it's your
appreciate
body,
it.
but it's my child. I don't have a choice. You keep saying your body. No one is addressing the child coming out. She's not going to
our
a spa.
child.
She's going
It's
to give
our
birth
child.
to our child. You're right. You know, Nikki,
but
you're
then
right.
be there. But then be there. Because for every step of the way,
If it's
you
going to
were
blow
there.
up my other situation, I can't be there.
The only
then
reason
you
why
don't
I'm
get to
blowing up your
choose.
other situation is because you ain't handling your shit.
You
That's
should.
why.
You
No, Miss Lindsay,
it's not going to do that.
I can handle both. It's just that it's illegal in this country. Back home, I have
Oh
three.
my God.
No, look, I will say
if
this.
I bring all three of them. I can handle. I'm from Africa. We take 9.
I knew that. I knew it, but
There
get
you
it.
go. Yeah.
I told
that
y'all
the cops will be at my door.
I told y'all.
You know, so I have to keep
I will say this though. I will say this that one of the things to bear in mind is the fact that the reality is you as a brother, what have you, a guy, you can be the father of 20 kids. But the reality is you haven't gone through the process of carrying or birthing any of them. And these doulas, male or female, men or women, are trained in certain things that you just aren't trained. You might have experienced certain things, but there's going to be something that might come up and you won't know what in the world to do. I'm the type, maybe it's because I actually like folks when they have certain expertise, getting them to do stuff, because there's certain things I'm just not good at. I'm like, no, I don't know how to do that. I'm gonna go to Dawn. I'll say, yo, Dawn, what do I need to do now? And Dawn's gonna say, do this. Cool, got you. Why? Because she's trained in that. I trust her. I know I can't do it.
Let me put.
So one second too. It's also about culture. Like the African culture, right? There's a strict line. No other man is allowed to touch my woman, regardless if it's my wife, my girlfriend's girl. There's no man around in my village, in my house, and that's the cultural way. So that is what you're facing. So a male doula have to understand you have society, you have culture, and that's a problem that's one of the barriers that we'll have to face with too. And that's one of the pushbacks.
American men too.
Culture, yes, and that ego and culture, but culture is more stronger than ignorance.
But can I say this to you all? What we have to realize too, and in this situation, and this is to what is also being in the chat on Facebook, African American women have the worst outcomes for birth. We have a lot of, and it's not the trauma is not exclusive to us, but it's handled differently. And so for a man to tell me as an African American woman that not only am I not going to be there to support you, you better not have this person there to support you. I have a problem with that, because if I interview several people and when I sit down and you talk to me and I find that you, male, female, whatever, are going to have my best interest, and sometimes the only way to get something done is to have a strong man standing next to you. So if I was a single woman and I felt like I was being ignored and not heard, I might hire a male doula for that very thing, because y'all know if I go into a room, sometimes I might not be heard, but let Andre walk into that room with me. Oh, he gonna be heard. So I might hire that male doula because I want to be heard. I don't want to be ignored. I want somebody to stand in the gap. I want somebody to stand in that space, especially as an African-American woman. However, as a woman in general, sometimes we get dismissed. And so if you're going to be there and you my strong man and we together and you're going to be there, our child is coming into the world, by all means be there. But you don't have the right to tell me, not only are you not going to support me, but nobody else has the right to support me, or only the people you choose get to support me. I have a problem with that.
Hey, and I just want to piggyback on one thing, and just, if I had a message to give to anybody that's listening, I understand from a male perspective where our insecurities are, but knowing what I know about the birth world and minority mortality rates, Black women mortality rates, I would say open your minds, be more accepting to, the concept of male doulas. And if you want to be there, then be there 100%. Help every way you need to be helped and learn what needs to be learned. The information is out there, right? Don't be selfish. That's the only thing that I can say, because it's about the healthy delivery of the child. It's about the mama and it's about the child.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now,
Can I say one last thing here?
Go ahead, Jason.
So, apparently I was tore up about not being at the birth earlier. Look, people hire us to give them the best birthing experience possible, to help ensure that, to think about the things they're not thinking about when they're having contractions. And she did not have a good birth. She was in labor for 4 or 5 days, progressing about a centimeter a day. So yeah, I do take it personally, and I am tore up about it. And I wish I could have been there to help her through it, because she did not have fun. It was a struggle for sure.
And Jason, just like I'm on the opposite side of Osado. I truly believe that everybody should be emotionally attached to their craft, right? And if you're not emotionally attached, then you're not a master of your craft. So kudos to you for being that way.
I'm not, Jason. No, I'm not faulting you for being emotional. I'm glad. That's great customer service. I love that you feel torn up about it. I'm talking about from the man's perspective. I don't want another man torn up about not being able to help my woman bring my child into the world.
Then be there.
Okay, yes, I was there. Why am I taking the place of this guy?
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about, you have to take his whole story. His whole story was
put my feminist hat on.
No,
women were giving birth before all this man entered the doula space. We're erasing women. Why are we taking women's jobs?
No, Osado, don't make me go there. So that's a whole different topic. Go ahead, Rachel.
Let me say something, because I saw the comment too, like, regardless of the ego or territorial feelings, that a woman is most efficient, right? Even with my experience at a hospital, there's nurses, there's doctors, they're all women. They are so busy in the hospital, you are just another number. You are just another medical bill that they are going to bill through. But yet I had my doula that walked in, and one of the things that I appreciated was that she had come to that hospital so many times. She had already built relationships with other people. And yes, she was a she, but it falls to a male doula too. So prior to my visit, I was given tips on, hey, how about you do this? Because you may be able to get through this kind of roadblock. And then when we walked in, I felt like I was being given VIP treatment. When compared to everybody else, if I didn't have someone to, and it's my first and only time ever going there, I don't know what to expect. So if I didn't have someone to give me a heads up and kind of advocate for me, whatever service I received, I would have thought that was normal, right? Because I'm like, okay, I'm supposed to go and deliver this kid, and okay, you can't pay me attention. And we all know they think Black women, you can handle the pain. And it's like, okay, you're in pain. No, it's all right. You can manage it. You can do whatever. But my doula is like, no, I know her. You need to take care of her right now. And it's like, okay, let me stop what I'm doing because she has someone here that's fighting for her, male or female. And yes, women have been doing it forever. And women were doing it forever without the hospital, and they were in pain, unnecessary pain. We have advanced way past all of that. So why not use the resources that we have now?
Yeah, and again, what I will say for everybody that doesn't know, well before birth, every doula becomes very invested in their clients. We have prenatal visits. We do childbirth education. If you've never held a baby, we're teaching you how to hold a baby. We're teaching you breastfeeding tips. We're talking about immunizations. Like, we become friends in that moment. And I know it's a business arrangement, and a lot of companies don't allow you after 12 weeks to continue that relationship or however, but let me tell you how it is at home. So welcome home. We are well invested into our families for a minimum of 2 years, which means from the time that you find out you're pregnant and you come to us and we start teaching you and preparing you. So if someone was to say to me, whether I'm male or female, no, you can't be at the birth because so-and-so doesn't want you at the birth. And 9 times out of 10, for male doulas, it might be the partner, but a lot of times it's the mother-in-law, it's the this person, it's the that person. And so then we get booted out and we miss the birth. Yeah, that emotion is real because we have invested and sown into you so much of who we are and the training and the wisdom and the knowledge for somebody that doesn't even know us, that didn't interview us, that has not really, taken the time to get to know us and understand the value of our worth, to come back and say, because of what lies between our legs or what we carry up here, the ability to be able to feed a baby or not, we can't be in the room because it checks who you are. I have a problem with that. I got a problem. If my strongness bothers you, then bow down. Because I'm not going to step back, and I'm not going to dummy down who I am so that somebody can stand in their own power. And if you feel like you have to push me back to feel confident in who you are, then really it's you that needs to be checked, and it's not me. So I get it. If you're a strong man and you want to be in that birthing space with your woman, then by all means go in there and you be that. You be the one to rub her back. You be the one to hold her up. You be the one to give her sips of water. You be there to hold that leg, to tell her you got this, babe, you strong, you pop. You do all of that. But if you're going to be in the room just to check out who else is going to be in the room, sit down. If you're going to not show up and be in the birthing space, but tell me who can be in the room, have several seats, including mine, because I am going to stand in who I am, and I'm going to support the partner that you should be supporting. Osado, you in a whole different category. All of your babies, you were right there. It was the two of you all. I was just being like, okay, try this, do this. Maybe we should do this. All of that, giving you what you needed to empower you. And y'all worked in that together, which is why I think your wife is the superhero for all of us, because what she went through during birth was amazing. So kudos to you all. But that's not what a lot of people are going through. So don't make choices for everybody if you're not going to step up and do the right thing. That's just me. Dawn?
I think there's definitely a need for male doulas because not all women have that person that helped make that baby with them when they go into labor. So they definitely need it. And you could definitely use somebody to hold you up while you're going through them contractions, and then not being a female, but being a male because they're a little bit stronger.
Yeah. So that's that's our take on it. So I do want to move into, though, because our other topic is the place that then the father plays in the children's lives. And so I'll answer that question that's coming from Facebook. Question is, why does the mother feel like she needs comfort from another man? That's the disconnect. She shouldn't need comfort from another man if that man is there. But if he's not, or if he's ill-equipped to be what that person needs, then that's why they may choose a male doula, or that male doula just connected with them because they brought compassion and empathy. I'm sorry, for me, being a female, I really don't like female gynecologists sometimes because they rough and they feel like, oh, I know what you're going through, so I'm just going to do this. And so it comes off like real, I don't know, y'all know how I get. It comes off some kind of way. But it seems like a male gynecologist sometimes is more gentle with me than a woman. So it could be the same way for male doulas. Maybe a female doula is not empathetic or compassionate enough, maybe the ones you interview, but maybe that male doula really spoke to you. What I'm saying is, don't make a decision based on when they showed up, whether they were male or female. Interview everybody, and whoever speaks to you, that's who you hire, and don't make rash decisions. We always talk about black versus white. Well, white people this or black people this, and no, how about you just give people a chance to be who they are, and then whoever speaks to you, that's who you hire. How about we do that? So now, dads. So let's move into this one, because this one, so we had and I'll start with us. We had a situation recently here in our house with the twins where one of them fell and she busted her lip. It was a lot of blood. It was everywhere. And so me as a mom, I'm like, okay, give me my baby. Like, let me get this bleeding under control. Her dad already had her. Andre already had her. He had picked her up. He was trying to see her lip. I'm all over her trying to see her lip. Morgan is all over her trying to see her lip. My mother-in-law back here having a panic attack. My son-in-law and my daughter-in-law trying to get my mother-in-law under control. It was a lot going on in the house. Now, the question my husband and I talked about later was it necessary for me to jump in and be like trying to like give me my baby? He had her. Like he was dealing with it. So in that instance, I felt like we all should have paused. Daddy had her. Then if he need me, he would have said, hey, babe, can you come over here and do? So in that moment, I was probably more of a problem than a solution. I ain't got no problem admitting that. We got a lot of kids. It happens. But how do you all feel your role as a father is viewed in the house? Is it you get the opportunity to father, or are you fathering with instructions from the mother?
Well, since you used me as an example,
I did. I threw you out there, babe.
I might as well jump in. And in that instance, I felt second choice and second best. And I want to qualify that I'm a first responder, right? So I had my baby. I'm trying to apply pressure on the lip, to stop the bleeding. I had all of these women. I mean, the poor baby was pretty much, I had the bottom half, the top half was snatched away from me. You had Morgan and everybody just doing everything. And I'm like, wow, right? And I do think that's a mom's natural instinct. But in the end, a lot of ladies feel like they need a break. Baby's always saying, mama, 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 while the dad is asleep in the middle of the night comfortably. And sometimes I think that's your own fault because you handicap the dad from doing dad duties. If you want, if you need a break sometimes, then you got to trust the dad to actually be the dad and push that authority, to the father. And I think sometimes that happens. You can't have both. You can't complain that the dad is not active with the child, and when you need the dad to be active with the child, when you set the stage for this to happen. I hope that made sense.
It did. Anybody else want this? Because, babe, I took it on that one. I said it was me. I give you that. I do. I give you your props though, because you do more than most. You get up in the middle of the night with them. We take turns with them. If I go to a birth, you've had them for 3 days by yourself. If you go out to work, I got so our house. But y'all, we got 8 kids. Like we didn't just wake up and become like this. We worked at this. So that's why we're trying to help you. So for the other dads, that this may be your first or second or third baby, and you ain't made it to 8 yet. And I'm saying yet because y'all need to keep Hands of Melody in business. We need some more babies. I need y'all to get pregnant. But anyway, what do y'all feel? Drew, you've been quiet. You know I was gonna come for you, bruh. So how do you feel like we handicap you sometimes? Come on in the room, bruh.
I don't think it's handicap. It's just, I don't know. I think we balance everything out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like the women, they're always like jumping to the maximum, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes the guy can come in and kind of like balance it out, like chill things out a little bit, you know what I'm saying? I feel like the women's instinct is to go like 100, you know, and sometimes you don't need all that, you know? So like we could come in and just kind of be like, all right, you know, you don't have to bring it up here all the time, you know. It's the situation can be handled at a lower volume, you know. And I think that's where the guys could come in and kind of help out.
Y'all feel like that, fellas? Like we it's
yes,
okay,
yeah,
baby.
yes. I give a prime example. Right, my first son, right? He's running, he fell down. I looked at him, he looked at me, he got up and kept running. If his mom's son fall down, she'll run to him, pick him up, give him 1,000 kisses, and baby him, cradle him, probably put a band-aid and a cast in a wheelchair.
Facts.
And bring him back inside the house. I'm just saying.
What if it was your daughter? Let's just play devil's advocate.
Yes, that's a good one, Lindsay. There you go. That's a good one, Lindsay.
Therapy 101.
I can't relate.
There.
I don't have a daughter. Sorry.
Don't have a daughter, so I can't relate. Sorry.
Yes, but y'all know it's a double stand. Okay, Osana,
you got a daughter. Do you have a
Osana
daughter?
got 3. He got 2 boys and a girl. Is it different with
absolutely
with
is
your
different.
daughter?
Like with Daniel's example, I would be beating up the ground if you made my daughter fall, as I would be breaking the ground. It's different. Now especially she's the last. That's my baby right there. So yeah, it is different. I mean, because you want them to be tough, and you think, especially if it's nothing broken. You know, I was laughing because that's exactly how it is in our household. With my wife, it's always 11, and with me, it's like 2, and I get blamed because you never care about anything. And it's not that serious. Just put some anointing oil on it and pray, and we'll be fine.
You did not just bring out the anointing oil.
Boys need nurturing too.
Yeah, but with her, it's like 10 Band-Aids, and I have to run to Rite Aid to get the Ninja Turtle Band-Aid, and it's
not the Ninja Turtle Band-Aid. Okay, so let me ask you this: as a former daycare owner, we used to have the dads that came in, and every daycare, if it's a good daycare, has the station set up. So you got housekeeping, you got blocks, you got all of the stuff. In housekeeping, you got boys and girls clothes, you got all of this stuff. I've had so many dads to come in and be mad that their boys are playing in housekeeping. I don't want my son in there like ironing clothes and all this stuff and holding no baby dolls. But let me ask you a question. When you become a man, if somebody has told you your whole life, put that baby doll down, so now men don't take care of babies? So what correlation are you giving your son when you tell him not to take care of the baby, but then when he becomes somebody's husband, now she wants him to help take care of the baby? That double standard, do you feel like it's setting your sons up? Now, I'm not talking about what clothes they put on when they plan to dress up, because that's a whole nother conversation. I'm just talking about them being in housekeeping with baby dolls, feeding babies, carrying babies, loving babies, having those dads to say, I don't want my son playing with dolls. How do they then learn how to become nurturers at all?
Then I get in trouble by Daniel and Drew. Can you handle this, please? Because they'll boot me out if I say what I have to. What? You know how many stages in life you have to grow before my 3-year-old is worried about taking care of his baby when his Lord willing, 25. It's like he shouldn't be worried about those, right? I mean, instinctually, he's not. So I don't know how to handle that. Right? He's not like that's his sister's thing. So
But
it's
not instinctually, but it's a learned behavior. Just like if you said that to your daughter, put that doll down. Don't you do this. Come out of housekeeping. I don't want you. Well, why is it okay for her to learn how to nurture a doll baby at 2, 3, 4 years old, but it's not okay for your son to learn to nurture at 2, 3, 4 years old?
because that's not his
that's
role.
my question. Wait, it's not his role.
Mhm.
You nurture your daughter.
Oh, I'm sorry. I answered it. I'm sorry. I'm not answering this. Daniel, please take over.
You said
No,
No.
but I think I know what
It's not his role, though. Why would
It's
he
not
be
your
able
role
to
to
take care of
nurture.
a doll?
It's
You're
not
saying,
your
well, I
role
feel
to
like you're
nurture.
saying, I think you're saying is you're not thinking about it because it's not his role right now. That's kind of what you were saying. Lord willing, he's not going to have kids till 25. But we talked about this earlier in the week about how young women, Black women, as we're growing up, it's like you don't need to worry about having kids. You need to get a job, you need to get a house, you need to get a career, you need to get married before you have kids. Then you have that baby and you're like, what do I do with this baby? And that's going to be the same thing that happens to your sons. If you're not exposing them to how to be nurturing, like.
Well, but I never played with doll babies, and I feel like I'm a nurturer. I just don't. I honestly feel like, I don't think little boy kids, and I'm being closed-minded, but we've had this debate before. I don't think the boy kids should really play with doll babies. I do think that there is a masculine and feminine role, and we wanna many people want to blur those lines, right? But we have to teach our little boys to be men and our little girls to be girls. And at some point we do get to a point where we learn how to be nurturing. When I had my first kid, I became the biggest nurturer around, and I think that's kind of instinctive. But I didn't learn how to play with dolls.
But it wasn't instinctive. Let me tell you why. And I can look back because I've known you for almost 40 years. But your father was a nurturer. Earl was a nurturer. And he, to the point where he went, you went. He loved on you. You sat on his lap and smacked him in his bald head like the kids do you now. Like he taught that. But a lot of men who aren't fathered don't know how to be nurtured. You were fathered. And so what
boys
about,
look up to their father and
right,
learn those
so
behaviors.
He nurtured, you nurtured. But when you have a man that is so like, we rough and tugging, we're gonna play with trucks and we're not gonna do, well, then at some point, for a lot of women, then when the babies come, and it was always told that's not your role. You go to work and you do this and you do that. But then when it's time to get up in the middle of the night, that's not his role. When it's time to change a diaper, that is not his role. When it's time to do whatever with that baby, that is not his role. Why is it not his role? Because it was his role to help make them. But you
Melissa,
don't have to care for them?
Melissa, also, you also have to understand the culture of the upbringing of that person too. In some countries, that role is very strict, that this is the man's role and this is the woman's role. Now in America, the role is now switching and intertwining together and mending. So you're breaking these traditions and trying to mend them, but now we're changing it. If you take this idea of switching these things and having young men play with dolls into a different country, they'll take that toy, that doll from a young boy and take it away and say, no, go take this car and play with the car and take the doll to the girl and say, you don't do that here. This is not what you're supposed to do. A lot of us are raised by culture, and we have a defined way of how to raise a young boy and raise a young woman. And in America, we're changing that.
I think it's actually instinctive.
I don't know about that.
I think it's kind of. I mean that there's truth to that. I know there's truth to that. From a cultural standpoint. But at the same time, there are many ways to approach fatherhood and many ways to approach parenting. And last time I checked, you can choose how you want to parent. You can choose how you want to father. And, you know, there are those that choose to not be nurturing, to not be whatever. I'm different. I'm kind of like you, Andre. My dad was a nurturer. I mean, he was here with his grandson for a couple of weeks, and that became his best bud overnight. So I got to win my son back, you know, because that's just how he is. And so, but it's one of those things where my dad made sure that I knew how to wash my own clothes, clean, cook, do several things. Yeah, my mother taught me, expanded all those things, but it was really my dad showing me how to do all this stuff. And in addition, even though I didn't have any younger siblings or anything, I had younger cousins, many of whom were female, and my dad taught me and made sure that I took care of them. Like if we were out together, hey, he held me accountable. He said, yeah, I know, but I'm holding you accountable. And so I learned even as a teenager, even how to, you know, do that and be that. Cause I was looking at what Andrea said, which was hilarious. And on the Facebook comments, that just this idea that, you know, we say this and we want men to do this or whatever. And we say that we're men, we're rough, we're rugged and all this stuff. But then we cop out by saying we can't do it. We can't be nurturers because we weren't taught. And the reality is you can choose to learn. If you want to, you can choose to learn. I mean, but it's up to you. It's personal choice.
Yeah, but we don't learn by playing with doll babies. Yeah, my father was a nurturer.
Yeah, we ain't gonna learn like that.
But that was your father. That's not your point.
I didn't learn that from my father. I didn't learn that from my father.
Yeah.
I was raised by my father, but I'm a nurturing person.
But what is the harm? If you have a boy, and that's what y'all talking about, a boy in a masculine role in the housekeeping area where he's not dressing another way, he's not speaking another way, but what he is doing is in that space caring for a baby. What is the issue? What checks your masculinity so much that you don't want this little boy to care for a baby?
You know the thing about it, right? With my son, right? I watch him. Is naturally he'll take a block, like a toy block, and he'll use it as a car naturally. He never grabbed a doll and held it as a doll. He took the block and
where would he get the doll from? Where would he get the doll from?
He had a doll like Woody from Toy Story. He never played with those things.
That's not a doll. That's not a baby. He doesn't see that.
It's an action figure. It's an action figure.
Right. It's an action figure. It's not a baby doll.
But naturally, he took a car. He was naturally drawn to trucks, cars, and blocks.
And guns.
That's natural.
So
that is the
naturally.
Question though, was he naturally drawn to that, or did you expose him to TV shows where boy characters played with trucks and guns? Was he naturally drawn to that, or did you take him to stores and only down the section of a store aisle that was only showing trucks and things, right? Like, there's a difference to say naturally, because naturally is I put my child in the middle of nowhere and I watch and see what he does in the middle of an open field, and then I'm like, oh wow, he noticed that flower. Interesting.
So I never took him to I never took him to stores for the first
naturally. Not just you, but others as well.
No, I'm talking about me. I can't talk about everybody else. I'm talking about me. During the pandemic, I never took her to any stores. And the shows we watched were the kids shows where there was a female character and a male character and had animal figures. There was no guns, no masculine things. It was a neutral show. And it was about alphabets and numbers and those kind of characters.
But you know what, Daniel? That's the same as saying, well, when you do buy him stuff, because like you said, during the pandemic, these is pandemic babies. So no, they're not hitting stores and they're not hitting, Walmart and running up and down the aisles. But what are you buying him? Have you ever exposed him to a baby doll? No, because when you shop for things that are male oriented because he is a boy. So yes, he's gonna grab that truck. When you bought Woody, you weren't thinking of Woody as a baby doll. You were thinking of Woody as an action figure. There are plenty of people that buy just whatever and expose their children to everything, and then they come out what like whatever. So I've seen so many fathers, and we do this twice a week. When we talk to all of these moms, and we've had up to 30 women in a room before, where we talk about how the baby is getting up in the middle of the night and the mom is exhausted and the father just lays there. And we've had plenty of talks where it's time to change a diaper. And other than that first diaper in the hospital, oh my God, I got a son. Oh my God, I got a daughter. And they crying, and oh my God, and then we're in the hospital and you go home and it's a totally different story. We've had so many opportunities that once the newness wears off, once that amniotic fluid is gone from that hair and we make it home, it's a totally different story. So much so that we have women in their own houses breastfeeding their own children, and because their father or father-in-law or another male person comes into their home, they got to either now cover this child up, or they got to go into their room and nurse their children, because now that has become sexualized, the nursing of your children. So I'm just trying to figure out, is it society that's saying these things, or is it because you weren't exposed to these things as children and they were made normal, that we now have men on these macho, this shouldn't happen, we shouldn't do whatever? That's just my question.
So I know we running out of time, but I just want to address the pink elephant in the room, and I'm gonna be very delicate because we have to say this, and I'm gonna say this as delicately as I can. So this is me and only me. Part of my fear is I'm a heterosexual Christian. I don't want to. Sometimes men feel like they're exposing their child to a potential alternative lifestyle if they play with dolls, or if they play in a little kitchenette set or something like that. I didn't say it was right, but I think one of a dad's proudest moments is for me was, it was good and bad at the same time, is when my son brought home his first girlfriend. I was like, man, thank God. All right, so now we good, right? So I think that's an issue. And I don't think that you're ever going to be able to get rid of that with some people, and that's probably more than 80% of the problem.
My thing, two things. One, why should we get rid of it? And second, I mean, I don't know. It's never occurred to me about, why he should ever play with a doll. I mean, the alternative lifestyle thing, yeah, it's not on the forefront, but I just feel like it's instinctual. You see, he wants to play football. He wants the gun. He wants bow and arrows. He's not looking for a Barbie doll. And with the Walmart thing, when they go in the aisle, he sees it. I mean, before I had the girl, oh, pink, yuck, and he walks away. I mean, it's just instinctual. I've never said, don't play with a Barbie and don't play. And I just think boys who. I'm sorry.
It's what you don't say sometimes.
Right?
How can he read that?
It's the symbolism. I think it's the symbolism of it. Like, to Daniel's point earlier, it's the culture that teaches the men, you're a certain way, and it's the women's responsibility or whatever. But it's up to us as the next generation to now help our kids learn a different way of doing things. Not to say
why should we do that though?
But it shouldn't be like.
Let me pause for 1 second. I recognize that it is 10 o'clock and the show is scheduled to stop at 10. If anybody needs to jump off or log off, this will replay live at a later date. So if anybody needs to jump off or log off, you can. But I feel like the conversation is at a place where it's at a good place. So if you want to log off and you want to jump off, it will play later. So if 10 o'clock is your bedtime, or you stayed up late to watch us, we so appreciate you. Comment, like, share, all of that. Next week we'll post what next week is going to be about, but we appreciate all of our listeners and our viewers that have stayed on this late. But it seemed like in the last 5 minutes we picked up even more viewers. So if you need to log off and stop, please by all means, go ahead and log off and watch us later. But I just don't feel like I want to break the conversation. So that's up to you all how you roll. But Rachel, finish what you were saying.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, it's up to us to try to re-educate our kids so that when they become men that have kids of their own, they're not walking around after they leave the hospital saying, oh, it's the woman's role and I'll just do it when I feel like it, or the kid is a chore, whatever way you wanna put that out there, right? So if you look at, like, okay, when they're kids, you don't want to be to the point that Andre made earlier too, like, okay, yeah, play with Barbie dolls and the ballet skirts and all that kind of stuff, but I'm going to teach you what this means to care about another human being. And I think Wallace mentioned it too, about how you are being a nurturer. You could be a nurturer by, okay, the mom is up in the middle of the night breastfeeding or whatever. Here, let me sleep on the floor in the room next to you while you're doing that. I can't give the kid milk, but I can support you. So, we both staying up tonight, or you're running around ragged or whatever. Do you need something? Let me rub your feet. Those are all nurturing things that we can teach our kids, or they can see us doing it as they are growing up so that they can then do it when they get into adulthood. That's what I'm getting from Missy's point of, the dolls and the home ec things and things like that. Like, okay, no, you should be able to stand in the kitchen and cook for yourself. When you get to college and you're living on your own, you damn sure better be able to stand there and know how to cook something and not be like, oh, my mom is not here, so I'm about to order out and do Uber all damn day long. No, I'm going to teach you how to stand in the kitchen and cook something. That doesn't mean you're not man enough or whatever. Shoot, you might be able to get some girls a little better if you could cook a little something, because she's going to look at you like, oh, okay, you're coming to the table with a little bit more, right? So those are ways to spin the nurturing instead of solely looking at it as, oh man, we're now doing women things. No, it's a human thing. It's you caring about another human being, to not focus on you and how it looks to you, versus if I make her happy, guess what? She's going to be willing to do 10 times more things than she probably could before.
Yeah, but why are we doing it at daycare though? It's too young.
I think Missy's point, that was an example. And I think it's not about teaching the kids or giving them dolls, but it's just not stifling him. Like, if he does pick up a doll, then he picks up a doll. I mean, same way like male doulas. We're not forcing male doulas down people's throat, but if you did interview 5 people and 2 of them were men and they were better than the women you talked to, then let's talk about it. Like, maybe that's actually an option. And if your child is in a daycare and they do pick up a doll and they do want to mess with the diaper and figure out how it goes, let them mess with the diaper and figure out how it goes. I mean, you don't have to jump to take the baby doll away. I do think that, to Asada's point, when they get older, that's kind of the point, to teach them about nurturing and teach them how to do the laundry and teach them how to be in the kitchen and teach them about how women work. But I mean, I just think at a younger age, if they start to take interest in those things, then, maybe you shouldn't stop them. But I probably wouldn't buy my son a baby doll. But if he picked one up, I wouldn't be like, give me that.
Right. And that was my point. I would have parents to come in at the end of the day, and if they're sons were in like the dress up area. I had one little boy, he had on like men's shoes, he had a tie around his neck, and he was sitting at the table with a doll in the little high chair feeding him. And his father came and was like, I don't want and he went off, he went left. And what I said to him, I pulled him in, I didn't address him in front of his child. I pulled him in the office and I said, what you just said to him was, he should never ever touch a doll again. He doesn't see that doll as a doll. He sees that doll as a baby. Okay. So then when he gets a wife and his wife is like, oh my God, like, can you just like feed this kid and give me 5 minutes? In his mind, he'll never remember this moment in time where you said to him, you should never touch a doll, baby. But in his mind, he was told that men should not take care of babies. So I'm not saying go out and buy your son's dolls. If you are a nurturing father, be a nurturing father. But if you ever come across a time, like we got a whole kitchen area set up in here. So if your kids come over here to play and say one of them was in the play area with the girls and they were all playing and he was sitting at the table feeding a baby doll, I wouldn't expect your reaction to be that. I would expect your reaction to be like, oh, he's feeding a baby. Now, if he puts a tutu on and you got a problem problem with that. We all got a problem with that. We just going to have a problem with that. But him sitting at the table feeding a baby doll should not have elicited the response that his father gave in that moment, because what you say has meaning and has words. How you feel about heterosexual, homosexual, whatever, that's on you, and that's something for you to deal with in your household, and everybody has to deal with that however they deal with it. But the basic instinct, teaching your son, because my 14-year-old son knows how to load the washing machine, he knows how to load the dishwasher, he knows how to go in there and make certain foods, he knows how to do all of that. But if somebody had told him men don't do that, then that's going to be a problem later on. I just want you to be conscious of how we view male roles, how we view gender roles, how we view different things. Be conscious of what you say and do, because your babies are watching. And I'm sorry, if I'm not having no more babies. So we're just going to throw that out into the atmosphere. All y'all know that. But if I was to have a baby and wanted a male doula, there was a point in my life where I felt like my husband would have been like, no, we're not doing that. But as he says, he's evolved, and now that he knows male doulas and he knows that role, I feel like he would be a great male doula. It's just supporting someone that is having a baby. That's all it is. Trust me, it's nothing sexy to see when you lift that cover up and somebody is in labor. It's not cute and it's not pretty, nor are her breasts a sex symbol when she's trying to get a baby to latch. So I think that's what men see, but let that go. Let it go. Get it out your mind. Support your women or let somebody else support.
Emotional, not sexual. I don't know why I can't get that point across.
Yeah, I'm not talking about what you just see, but some people do view it as a sexual act. If somebody comes to your house and your wife is breastfeeding, they want you to, including the older women, want you to come. Now you got to do all of this. So I'm sorry. If I'm sitting here,
that's an American thing, though. That's not a.
Stay outside while I breastfeed. That's what I got to say to you. Stay outside. What's wrong with that?
The question, when you were talking about the women, the man sleeping and she has to feed the baby, do the women try and wake up the husband to say, hey, babe, can you take this one? Because it happened to me and I'll wake up. I don't know where.
Y'all didn't hear him crying the same way I heard him crying before I nursed him?
Exactly. Why I gotta tell you?
Because there's it's like that ringtone where only you guys can hear. So you have to help me to wake up and say, hey, Osada, take this.
I'll help you one time.
I don't have to help and wake you up for work. I don't have to help and wake you up to go hang out with your boys.
See, this is the problem. This is why we get a bad rap for sleep. You can just nudge us. We're right there on the bed. Say, hey, babe, take this.
But that's my point.
You guys have a problem with even waking us up.
You ain't nudge yourself to get up for work. Go, Shayla.
I understand. See, wait.
I didn't nudge you for a lot of other things.
I'm sorry.
I don't care what time of night it is. I don't care what time of night it is.
But that's a stress reliever, though. That's like I had to.
So you telling me that all three of your kids is only here?
Kill it.
No. I mean, no. It's a miracle.
You know what?
I'll
say devil's advocate. What role do we play in creating the monster with them? You know what I'm saying?
It's just that if you have a problem with every time you have to wake up and change diapers, they say, hey, babe, take this. That's how it was for me, and it was fine. I mean, and I didn't. It was perfect, and I'll wake up, I watch TV and just hold the baby and do the bottle thing, and for all those ladies out there who end up watching this, don't feel bad because he doesn't wake up. He's going through a whole different things. He has a family in Texas he has to think about, so he can't just wake up. Sorry, Jason. So there's so many stresses involved. So just nudge me.
That was good. I like
wake up, pour some water on my face. I'll definitely wake up and say, hey, your son is crying, and go take care of that.
So question for you, should that be the nudge every time?
Yes. If I don't wake up, because most times you hear, like I can be watching TV and the baby will cry upstairs and Sheena will just get up and run and take care of that. I'll be like, then she'll come down. Didn't you hear that? No, I didn't hear it. This, it's a spiritual connection you guys have with your children.
But hold on. The note or the key thing I keep hearing is when babies sleep, mommy sleep. But dad has to go to work 8 hours a day. So if dad,
and dad also helps make the
so
baby.
so you want dad to stay awake for work all day and then be up all night long, but you know what I'm saying?
Mommy has figured out how to do it. I'm sorry. No, you don't get that. If mommy has figured out how to do it, then daddy can figure out how to
But
do
when
it.
mommy is home taking a 2-hour nap with baby, dad is still at work. You know what I mean?
I'm glad for those first 6 weeks, because glory to the pandemic. If not for the pandemic, mommy would have been at work, and then mommy would have had to go pick up baby, and then mommy would have had to get baby ready for bed, and mommy would have had to cook daddy dinner, and then mommy would have had to put baby to bed and get ready for work and be
That's a great mommy.
That's a great.
But the thing, mommy shouldn't complain if she's not asking daddy to help. You can't do everything.
Right. Why not asking daddy? Where's daddy at? Where's daddy at? You say, so mommy, mommy's not asking daddy to do anything.
Thank you. Exactly.
You said mommy's doing this, mommy's doing that.
That's my testimony. Okay.
Okay. We're asking for your testimony. Asking for your testimony.
Ask y'all to make them. So why do we have to ask y'all to take care of? That's my only question. Okay, we're gonna end this, y'all, because clearly there's got to be a part 2. So everybody on this chat, 3 weeks from today, well, 3 Wednesdays from today, we need to be right back here because our next 2 Wednesdays are already spoken for. That 3rd Wednesday, everybody on this chat, I need you right back here because we're gonna pick this conversation up because that's a whole lot, and we about listen. So, oh my God, that's the whole thing. We never even got into the breastfeeding aspect or the mental health aspect of Lindsay. So I thank you all for your vastness of opinions, if that's a word. And I thank you all for the amazing conversation. And to y'all on Facebook that is still coming in, we got to go. Like we got to get some rest because
wait, Missy, can we answer that one question though? Like, what's the advice for single mothers of boys?
Andrea wanted some advice for single mothers with young boys. I'll just say, Andrea, as someone who I've mentored many young boys, is to find someone who's willing to spend time with them in wholesome ways, in helpful ways, in reinforcing ways, because you're trying to raise that child, or this single mothers are trying to raise this child, and they can help, but also there are ways that they can hurt if they don't know your worldview, how you see life, you know, what you're hoping for out from your son. So definitely, you know, seek those that you feel can be those individuals that you don't mind your son spending some time with, some quality time with, to really learn some stuff.
Also too, for Andre, I was a single mom and my son is now 28, but also realizing at an early age that you can't be mom and dad.
Dawn, you're really low.
I don't know why I'm not. Can you hear me now?
For a second, we could try again.
The mic.
She is kind of short.
Shut up, Wallace.
That's all right. Just go ahead. We have to.
No, I was saying that you can't be mom and dad, and you can't be. I guess as a mom, be hard trying to be the dad and then also try to be nurturing. You can't be both. So what Wallace said, finding somebody to kind of like back you up as that male parent will help. Well, not a male parent, but a mentor.
Male figure.
Yeah. So we will pick this conversation up for those of you that are still on here on Facebook. I appreciate all of y'all that stayed and this whole time, and we really appreciate it. We will, if everybody's schedule permits, in 3 weeks, we'll come back to this again. If we didn't already have next week set, we would do this next week, but we will push it out a little bit. So thank you all for joining. We are going to end the live now, and we will see you all back here hopefully next Wednesday for the next Winedown Wednesday. Bring your glass, be ready for some conversation, because as you see, there are no filters here. We say whatever, and we love the difference of opinion. So we will see